In today's video, we're discussing a magic card that has spiked over 2,000%. We're going to discuss what's going on with this card. Why is it becoming popular right now? What shenanigans are going down with this particular card? And if you're going to buy this card, which version of the card should you be buying? The regular or maybe an alternate version? So stay tuned. We have this and a lot more to cover in today's video. Sometimes a good magic card suddenly becomes a great magic card that everyone wants to get their hands on. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thank you again for hanging out with me on my channel today as we discuss a card that has risen 2,000%. Talk about a spike in the value of a card. Now, you know I don't like wasting time when it comes to a card spike video. We got to dive right in and take a look at this card. So let's jump over and take a look at Verina, the Lich Queen. Now, right off the hop, I want to admit to you guys that the price is not going to hold. You can see here $15 and it's already trending down, and these images are taken from MTG stocks. You can see it had a monthly price change of $10.28. I mean, this thing has had a lot of action, a very wild ride in the last several days. Thousands and thousands of copies sold this weekend. You can take a look at my top 10 video. It just sheds light on everything. But as we look at this card past the sales, what's going on and why were players even interested in getting this card? Now, first off, Verina's been around for a while. 2018 Commander, this thing was introduced. It returned in 2022 Double Masters, and we've even had a secret layer of this card already. But this thing is spiking still, a lot of interest. Now, Verina the Lich Queen is a legendary creature, zombie wizard, forecasting cost for a 4/4. A black, a blue, a white, and one other. And it says whenever you attack with one or more zombies, draw that many cards and then discard that many cards, you gain that much life. Exile 2 cards from your graveyard and create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. A lot of words there, a lot of combination possibilities, and that's what a lot of players are diving into right now. Now, first off, I have to show this, and this is the alternate version. This is from the secret layer, Evil Dead. Yeah, it's Linda, and it's amazing. And this is the one that a lot of players have started buying right now because as a secret layer, these do tend to hold quite a bit of value already. And the Evil Dead secret layer has seen a lot of action in this particular area of the market. So it's great to see that this card's going to have a lot of play and a lot of fun going around. Good old Linda. Now, let's take a look here. When you're talking about the Lich Queen Verina, when you look at things like Phyrexian Altar, sacrificing creatures, adding mana of any color, right? And when you go over and look at things like the Monument of Endurance, not even released yet, not officially, and this thing is coming down the pipeline where it says, whenever you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Draw a card, create a treasure token, each opponent loses 3 life. I want you to think about Verina there. Think about what she's doing when she discards multiple cards. It doesn't just have to be one linear effect. It can be a whole synergy host of cards, which makes her the prime threat that has to be dealt with, not just the cards inside that deck. Now, if we continue along this vein, we also have cards like Unfulfilled Desires. Pay 1 life, draw a card, and then discard a card. It's insane to think this could be used on every opponent's turn. Working with the Monument, working with Verina the Lich Queen, there is crazy stuff coming down the pipeline that people need to be aware of because these combinations are not likely going away anywhere. Now, if we go ahead and also take a look at cards like Gravecrawler, where it says this creature can't block. I remember this thing forever now. It's a 2/1, but it says you may cast this card from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie, in this case, Verina. But there's also ways of getting your zombies low casting cost ones onto the battlefield for free, causing infinite, all kinds of crazy triggers. There's all kinds of abilities for milling things out. Don't forget what these things can do. Now, the Carrion Feeder here also says sacrifice a creature and put a 1/1 counter on the Carrion Feeder. So it kind of goes with the Gravecrawler. They can trigger back and forth, and you can have a grand old time. And it's all because of Verina. And then you have, if you back it up, you have all these ancillary effects that are going to take place as you play the card. And it makes you realize just how busted a card like this is going to be in Commander. I mean, if you want to be a threat, you are definitely going to be it. And a lot of players, well, they're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to have that conversation about how deadly Verina is, and it may not end well for your poor Lich Queen. That's what's going on with her. There is so many possibilities right now with card creation involving her right now, and the fact we've seen all these new zombies popping up in Aether Drift, that a lot of people are just diving in. They're going hog wild. Remember, there are central themes inside this game that players love to play, and a lot of them are gothic tropes. You love to see the vampires, the werewolves. They like the idea of them. They love the expansion of these ideas into new areas, and they're definitely getting it, which is why Verina is going off the just off the chart right now. I'm looking forward to seeing the card trend back down. I think it'll probably settle around the $4 or $5 range. We'll have to wait and see, though. It could go lower still. There is a lot of copies out there, but it's fascinating to see a card like this go. But we're not done yet. Take a look at this still. Now I want you to take a look at Unfulfilled Desires. This card this weekend, it was in my reserve list top 10, same as Verina was in the top 10 on Saturday. This thing had a high of $55. It is spiked back up, and again, like we talked about, it's already starting to come down. You can't really see it on the graph, but trust me, it is starting to fall already. But there's a lot going on with cards like this. I mean, this thing went up 1,000%. It's not often reserve list cards even make a card spike video. It's usually modern cards related to either modern or commander. That's usually where they fall in. But when we take a closer look at this card and you see the color wheel that's possible, which of course is going to be blue and black with one other, that paying one life and drawing a card and then choosing and discarding, when you see the monument, you see the art cards coming up, it can bring players around. And when you have big channels mentioning it, those sales can happen a lot faster than would normally occur. But the best part is it's not all speculation. A lot of players had an equal opportunity moment to buy some copies of this card so they wouldn't have to shop at the high price range. Do I expect this card to fall? Absolutely. I think the new floor for this card is going to be somewhere between $5 and $10 a card. It did have a lot of sales. It had a lot disappear from the market, and it will take a while for that well, which is definitely not dry, just to refill a little bit higher, which will force the price down for a lot of players. Now, before we end off today's video, I want to remind you guys, a lot of these cards, although the initial spikes will happen, and they'll have tremendous sales action, the FOMO event occurs, and everyone is just driven insane with the idea of what these cards can do for them. That every single time, they do fall back down. We have not gotten to that point with any reserve list card in the last few years where it won't fall back in price. It won't fall back down the hill. Nothing is keeping it perched that high unless it was already a powerful card. In the case of cards like Verina, there's always a possibility of a reprint, and a lot of speculators dove in on this card. They bought 10, 20, 30 copies, $50, and they were out the door. That's a very cheap, speculative chance to get in, okay? Now those cards have to arrive at people's homes. They might try to flip them. They hold it for the next spike. Zombies are a very popular theme. So it does make sense that players holding on to this card might see the chance for future returns later on. We did see it printed in 2022. It could come around in 2027. But when we look at the card and the value, going from $1 to $15 is a massive amount of turnaround in value for a card like this. So don't be surprised if it goes back down to $2-3, because there's nothing that's going to keep it really suspended that high. There can't be enough pressure on the actual market to make it stay that high. I mean, there's only so many Magic players looking for the card, buying it, and then so many people trying to resell. Could they buy again later? Absolutely. This just isn't that moment, as you can see from the graph, when the price is already falling down. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thanks for hanging out with me. I look forward to seeing what you guys think in the comment section. Did you buy Verina? Did you maybe pick up some cards like Unfulfilled Desires? Where do you fall when you look at these amazing prices and the spikes that followed? Did you jump into the FOMO, or were you avoiding it for now, hoping to pick it up later on because you still like the idea of the card, you just didn't like the price tag? Thanks again for hanging out with the Mox Man. Looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow with another video. Shop smart, shop as smart. Come on, I had Linda. That's awesome. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Because of those patrons, we get to do content here on the channel every single day without skipping a beat. That's right, guys. Every day something new is happening here on the channel, and we all get to share this journey together. So thanks again to my patrons, my YouTube membership members, for making it happen. And don't worry, we'll all shop smart and shop as smart, because we'll be back tomorrow with another video. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. You're here at the end of the video, and spikes like this are not sustainable. They are not going to hold up under the pressure of what's going on. And really, it's simply because there's not enough upward momentum for this card right now. When you look at a card like Verina, the Lich Queen, that card, it's been around for a while. It's a great card, but it wasn't expensive. It's expensive now for the moment. And you can see with the amount of copies that exist from the Commander decks through Double Masters 2022 bulk bin stuff now jumping all over the place and people making money. These kind of interesting events, they do get caught up a lot. People get really excited. They get built into what's going on, but then things fail away. I mean, if anything, the potential implications to something like Commander just means they're going to recognize that card as soon as it comes around. And another thing is that Wizards of the Coast will see that value and maybe drive some more stuff that way to kind of perch up the price and then re-release it later on. These are all things that will happen. They're just not happening yet, okay? Now, moving forward, I can expect cards like Unfulfilled Desires to have that new bottom floor, but not be anywhere near back down the basement where it was, because when these cards get bought and they get put into decks, they kind of get held in that deck for a very long time, years. That means it's not available anymore. And in that time, because of what it does, the draw and discard, anything kind of like a Bazaar of Baghdad, these kind of interesting card effects and enchantments will drive a lot of value in the future too, as new cards are discovered. Remember, drawing and discarding, enchantments, a lot of things can work with these cards now. And as Wizards has exposed and expanded on what can happen with enchantments and what can happen with artifacts and creatures, as they explore each one individually, there's always cards on the reserve list that are going to spike. It's something to pay attention to. It's always good to buy some of these cards when they're really cheap. Either way, it's just a ramble jamble, just a conversation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't, you can go see the customer service representative, and you can talk to them, and they'll take care of it for you. Okay, guys, have a great one. Thanks a lot for hanging out. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Yeah.